Good morning. My name is Joe Bandel, and I am the last Rosicrucian. Today we are going to finish off the three-part series on the 13th century and courtly love. Uh, we're actually going to be setting up, going into the next stages, or some of the next videos we'll be dealing with. But the 13th century and courtly love was very important. It was very significant in the women's movement, and in the span of 50 years, women went from totally disregarded to the status of honored lady. And this happened at such a profound level on so many different in so many different areas of life that it's worth worth talking about them, because in today's world, we're dealing with a similar reemergence and rising of the feminine. And it's really interesting to speculate on what is going to happen in the next 50 years. But what happened back in the 13th century may give us some clues to that. Literature invented the romance. The romance was fiction, adventurous fiction with love and romance. And the ladies just loved it. Some of the most popular romances were about King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. And this is also the beginning of the age of chivalry, where the knight errant went on a quest in search or doing something for his lady. Now, we've talked about the importance of education and literacy, and how literacy was only the aristocracy, the high society levels that were literate. The common people were not really that literate. However, this new type of writing, these books, these fiction stories, these romances, had people talking. And it did the same thing that plays did. What they did was they gave the general population opportunity and exposure to concepts and ideas that they wouldn't normally have access to. So it's very profound. And a lot of the common people were getting new ideas for the very first time, these advanced concepts. In the church itself, the feminine came into being with the Virgin Mary becoming the Holy Mary, Mother of God, and Our Lady. And she began to be seen as a warm, compassionate mother to the poor and wretched. Now, this was not in the original plan. It was kind of an embarrassment in a way to the church, but they didn't really know the best way of dealing with it, so they just had to let it be. At the same time, and you're going to be seeing this is kind of a theme that we're going through, sexuality became widely accepted. This was a very sexual and sensual period in world history. With that came the spread of incubus and succubus experiences in association with courtly love. Let's face it, what happens, the incubus and succubi are actually personality fragments that we give off when we're generating too much sexual energies. And they're going out to and attracted to appropriate people. But it's unconscious. It's not happening on a conscious level, and these are distorted. So you're getting a rampant increase in demonic attacks, if you will. Uh, that's the way the mind is taking it. At the same time, the convents with the nuns and the monasteries with the monks, they were rampant with uh, sexual practices. So they were horny as hell and having these weird dreams and these incubus and succubus experiences coming in. This was happening at an unprecedented rate, like even maybe worse than it was way back in the Dark Ages when they had their first experience with this. But anytime there's a rise in sexuality and working with sexual energies, these are magical energies and they're happening on the lower levels. So you're going to get a corresponding accusation or revival or interest in magic and witchcraft. And like I said, demons, because the incubus and succubus they were considered demonic in origin and not understood as what they really were. So moving forward, we're going to be getting into that movement of witchcraft and the Inquisition. But right now I'm just going to bring a few numbers so that you can get an idea of what's happening here. In the Swiss canton of Vaud, 3,371 witches died between the years 1591 and 1680. In the little town of Weisenstein in Germany, 63 women were burned in the year 1562. In Obermarxtel, 54 persons, or 7% of the population, was burned at the stake in 2 years. In Oppenau, 50 out of a population of 650 were burned at the stake in 9 months. I mean, we're getting ahead of ourselves by even mentioning this, but just think about these numbers for a minute and think about, wow, this was happening all over. Just something to think about. This time period, they were trying to put, it was like I said, rampant sexuality, and the chastity belt was originated in the 14th century to try to deal with it. If we move into the 15th century briefly, I'm skipping around a little bit here. The French and German historians refer to the 15th century as the age of bastards. There's a lot of illegitimate children being born. Prostitution flourished, and temple prostitution came to Europe. This might be hard to believe. There was a church brothel in Avignon, where the girls spent part of their time in prayer and meditation, and the rest of the time servicing customers, but only Christian customers, of course. Pope Julius II was so impressed that he founded a brothel like it in Rome itself. This is also the age of Philip the Fair, the King of France. He's the one that dissolved the Knights Templar, arrested them. The church was really at this time having big problems trying to get a grip on things. And well, let's say just a little bit about Prince Philip here, or King Philip's. King Philip's daughter-in-law, Margaret, was charged with sorcery and thrown into a hole in the ground. His second daughter-in-law, Jean, was strangled, and a third was raped and became pregnant while in a dungeon. He was raped by the hangman's assistant. Philip the Fair himself and his wife was poisoned. And a lot of these things were accused, it was magic. Satanism flourished, witchcraft flourished. The people believed that Satan alone could give power to the weak, honor to the despised, and vengeance to the afflicted, and return love to lovers that had been separated. He alone was the Father and God of the poor, the deceived, and the despised. According to Bodinus, there were 72 princes in hell and 7,405,926 common devils. They were counting these things. The Bishop of Troyes, Guichard, was accused of cursing King Philip's wife with a waxen image which he was pounding nails into like a voodoo doll. All of these things were symptoms of rampant sexuality because they're dealing with the lower level energies. But they're valid in the sense that these energies were being worked. Magic was happening. Very powerful time in history. I'm running out of time. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please share it with others. Subscribe to this channel if you want. There is a link on the bottom of the YouTube page. Consider donating on my webpage if you can. That would be thelast-rosicrucian.is. And I'm posting a lot more online, a lot more other materials that are not videos, which you can find of interest as well. Comments are always welcome, and like I say, donations are welcome if you can. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed this video.